Classic, of course. What else?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Friday, right? It's Friday.
That's right. That's right.
Here's the fact. How do we blast through selling to the C-level, V-level, take our fears and annihilate them? That's the conversation today.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
All right, here we go. The day after U.S. Thanksgiving. DJ, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, my friend. I hope you know, spent some time with your family and got some cool things done with in-laws. Now you got to have in-laws in about 3 weeks again for Christmas. You know,
or they just don't leave. For anybody here in the States, that your in-laws are there until basically this whole holiday season is over. God bless you. God bless you.
Yeah, we wish you all the luck. Best of luck on that. So here's what we're going to do today. For all of you watching, listening, whether you're live right now at Friday, November 26th at 10:01 a.m., or if you're coming to us on the podcast or wherever, we have Catherine Hollingsworth, the expert at selling to the C and V level. Catherine, for decades, has been helping all sorts of companies, communities all over North America sell to C-level. And what we're going to do today is we're going to focus primarily on blasting through your fear as a sales rep. Blasting through that fear of speaking to a CEO. We're going to create similarities between yourselves and the CEOs, because here's the reality. As a sales rep, if y'all have listened to DJ and I before, if y'all follow us, you know you are the CEO of your business, right? And your business operates, like, from a functionality perspective, your business operates just like $1 billion business, just at a different level. And if you're the CEO of your business, you are going to take today's strategies and you're probably going to alter your business to become more effective and more impactful in your business. But not only that, I truly believe today will destroy your fears of selling to the C and V level. Catherine, thank you so much for being here. And let's jump right in, because if anyone's hungover from Thanksgiving or anything like that, they're just going to want to chill and listen. And
That's right.
I think it's going to be like DJ and I have been talking about this for a long time, knowing you were coming on. And so many sales reps are
I got my notebook ready. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean,
so
you
I'm
know,
not
like
even
here's my Q&A paper that I have, but I know we're not going to get to half of that today. But you know, like, what have you found in the years you've been doing this, and why salespeople are afraid or have anxiety or just hesitation, if you will, maybe not necessarily totally afraid, but hesitation on calling CEOs and V-level employees?
Okay, well, first of all, let me just go back and say I have worked for CEOs as an executive assistant over a little over 40 years ago when I was 1 year old. And I have been cold calling CEOs for over 30 years, and I've been helping salespeople do that for over 30 years.
At 10 years old, you were cold calling CEOs?
Wow.
For you.
She said one. She said one.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
She said 40 years ago, and she was 1 year.
Yeah, but she was an executive assistant for 10 years. That means at 10, she was calling CEOs.
Okay. She snuck that
That's
one
a
in.
serious entrepreneur we got here.
There you go. And the biggest fear in speaking with sales reps, thousands of sales reps around the world, is that they're not going to have anything in common with the CEO, that they're going to get laughed at, they're going to get criticized, or they're going to get hung up on. The CEO's just going to hang up. He's not going to have any time for them. Or I've had sales reps say, I'm not afraid to call anybody. But what am I going to do when I get the meeting? Then what happens? I've got nothing in common with this guy. What am I going to talk about? And the other thing that they're the most afraid of is that they're down here and the CEO's up here. So they are going to feel inferior. And let me tell you something about CEOs. The majority of them don't have a graduate degree. A lot of them dropped out of high school. Over 80% of all CEOs worldwide, and that's from a small, medium, and large business, okay, came from a sales background. They were salespeople. They were us. So tell me you don't have anything in common with them. They were salespeople. The biggest fear a CEO has, only two. And it's the same fears that a salesperson has, which is, number one, you're going to waste their time. A salesperson hates feeling that the CEO is going to think you're wasting their time. The second one is they don't want to look foolish. The CEO doesn't want to look unprepared. They don't want you to use jargon they're unfamiliar with. They don't want to look stupid. So the thing is, we've got to understand, excuse me, how to talk to these CEOs to get their attention. Because CEOs traditionally are bad listeners. They're really bad listeners. Because
Really?
Yeah, they are bad listeners because they are so focused on their goal. They are so focused on their strategic plan that anything else on the outside, they're not paying attention to. Remember the analogy I was talking about before? Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. So if it's hard to understand me, let me know. Remember before I was saying, if you're in your house and your water heater breaks and it's flooding your basement and your kid just fell out of the high chair and split its head open, and somebody comes to the door and says, hello, I'd like to talk to you about the brushes that we're selling. You're going to slam the door in their face. But if they come to the door and they say, hello, I'm a medic, I can stitch up kids, you're going to say, come on in. They knock at the door and they say, hi, I'm a plumber, I can fix flooded basements. You're going to say, come on in. So we've got to understand the CEO's top desires and concerns so that we trigger their attention, so that they'll invite us in. So these top desires and concerns, again, are increasing sales. Every CEO on this planet wants to increase sales. 100% of them are focused on that. Okay, and what do? We sell. Okay, we can help you sell. So we're going to come in and we're going to help you increase your sales. Hi, Mr. CEO, I'm Dan Deegan. I can help you increase your sales. You got my attention. All right. They want to attract employees that come in early and stay late. They want to get their products to market faster. Are you a transportation and logistics company? Can you transport product? They want to get those things to market faster. They want to position themselves as the leader and only resource in their field. They want a great company image. They want experts. They don't want Johnny-come-latelys. I can open a phone book and pick out a sales company anywhere. I can pick out a sales consultant. They want an expert in their field. So my suggestion to all salespeople out there, excuse me, position yourself as an expert. So when you phone, instead of saying, hi, I'm Catherine Hollingsworth from Hollingsworth and Associates. Did I get you at a good time? I've lost them. It's never a good time. Forget all this fluff. They don't care. They know you don't care how they are. Hi, Mr. CEO. How are you today? Are you kidding me? Oh, I'm glad you phoned. I'm bored out of my gourd. I don't know what to do. I've watched everything on TV and now I'm doing a puzzle.
I was right in the middle of a YouTube video.
Exactly. Exactly. Get to it. And when you say, you can introduce yourself and say where you're from, as long as you mention one of their overall top desires and concerns. So if I can help you, in my case, so sorry. In my case, if I can help you increase sales and lower cost of sales, I can say, hello, Mr. CEO, I'm Catherine Hollingsworth from Hollingsworth and Associates. I can help you increase your sales and decrease your cost of sales. I've got their attention because that's what they're looking for. So you have got to speak to their overall top desires and concerns and keep your focus on them. If you're not phoning them and you're emailing them, the same thing. You have got to open with one of their top desires and concerns. And if you're telling a CEO that you can help them increase productivity, you've also got to balance it with decreasing costs. Because if I'm a CEO and you come to me and you say, I can help you increase your productivity, I'm going to say, how much is that going to cost me? I'm thinking, oh, okay. Now my costs are going up. So you want to always balance it. If you're increasing in one area, you're decreasing in another. You've got their attention. One of the other things I think salespeople have to realize, CEOs are begging for you to come in. They are waiting for you. They search for experts. They need problem solvers. They eat, drink, sleep their business 24/7. They are desperate for experts, but they are not desperate for people that want to come in and talk about themselves. They want you to talk about them. Sorry, folks. You know, there was a 15th century English poet by the name of William King. And in this 15th century, he said, as a bore is someone who will talk to you about themselves. A gossip is someone who will talk to you about other people. But a brilliant conversationalist will talk to you about you. So you want to keep the focus on the CEO at all times.
Well, let's be honest. Everybody likes talking about themselves. That's the truth. So the CEOs we're feeding to what they want. But we're also, by them talking about themselves, will help us find what you're saying, find their problem, find their pain. Using your example of them, the splitting open the head, but we're selling something else. By letting them talk about themselves is definitely going to give them the opportunity for you to find what their problem is. Yeah. Yeah, no, I love it.
Do you know why, DJ? You know why people like to talk about themselves? Do you know why?
Because we're humans.
Because we like to hear our own voice.
Yeah. Neuroscientists have proven this. Neuroscientists, there's two things that human beings crave, and only two. Only two.
I love it.
Any guess at what they are? There's only two things that it's inbred in our DNA. We can't get away from it. It's stuck with us for life. What are the two? Want to take a guess? Just
I mean,
so I know it's not, the word is not appreciation, but it's
no, it's
not being taken. Oh gosh.
I mean, look, I want to say greed. That's all I can think. So
okay.
Okay.
The one is sex. And like I said before, this would be a totally different show. And the other one, recognition.
Recognition. That's what
we
going
all crave recognition.
Yes.
Oh, Johnny, what a good boy. You ate all your soup. Oh, what a great job coloring inside the lines. Right from birth. We crave it. That's why it's so difficult to be a brilliant conversationalist, because we like talking about ourselves. Not only do we like it, it's ingrained. We can't get away from it. We have to.
Wayne Dyer once said,
so right.
In order to be a brilliant he goes, have you ever been in a conversation with somebody and you ask about them and you keep the focus on them? He goes, and then, you might not have said 5 words and you just let them talk about them. And at the end of the conversation, it's like, man, you are so awesome to talk to, because they got everything they wanted to say about themselves out. Makes total sense. And so, Catherine, I guess, so the essence of this first part would be, take those 3-4 fundamentals that CEOs want to talk about. Everything is directed towards that. Ask the question, sit back and listen. Ask the question directed towards them again, or their goals or their achievements, their desires. Sit back, listen. Is that what you're kind of saying from a formula perspective?
And the most important question people don't ask a CEO, because they don't ask CEOs because they're afraid of rejection. So they don't say to a CEO, how can I qualify for an appointment with you? Just ask them, how do I qualify for one? And the CEO, I promise, will say, what do you do? Why do they say that? Because they are always looking for experts. So, hey, CEO, how can I qualify for an appointment with you? Well, what do you do? Well, I help. I don't tell them the name of my company if they ask me that. I say, I help companies, and I tell them the beneficial results of my service, product, or solution. So in my case, I help companies increase sales. I help companies develop new business. I help companies attract new customers, because I'm speaking to their concerns.
When you touched on some things you touched on some things in the beginning too that I think were super powerful. It's kind of funny, so I'm gonna bring up. I usually do a quote at the end, but I knew common ground was going to be, and I was hoping it was going to be one of the things you touched on, and you touched on it quick. And so one of the quotes I found was by Jim Wallace, and it says, "We could find common ground only by moving to higher ground." And I think that I think that's
brilliant.
very for what you're talking about. We have to remember that these are, like you said, I didn't know that stat, and I freaking love that stat, by the way. 80% of CEOs were salespeople. I mean, that's you learn the most in this industry, and that's why we tell all of our listeners, you're a CEO. Like, you're a CEO of your career. Sales is a career, and you can take this clearly to be an actual CEO of another business if you want, or your own business. But it's knowing that the person you're talking to, again, in the end, we're all humans. We all have the same wants and needs, and we just got to remember that they might have a higher title, but they're still going to have the same wants and needs we do.
Well,
I agree.
Here's kind of sorry, Catherine. Here's an additional. So years ago, when I went to Catherine's session and conference, the one thing that hit me more than anything was they were actually in my shoes years before they became a CEO. And I think, if we look at this from the perspective of commonality, right? Just a commonality, like put on a common lens, right? I'm a snowmobiler. I'm a golfer. I love fitness. So if anyone has those three traits, I will typically have more in common with them. Like I could meet somebody and they snowmobile. Now, if they drive anything besides skidoo, we're gonna have some friction, but that's another story. So they snowmobile. I could literally sit there for hours and have conversations about snowmobile trips and share stories back and forth. Then that leads to a deeper friendship, that leads to snowmobile rides, that and it just kind of escalates from there. If they're in sales, right? Like, if you meet now, barring for the most part, which is very unfortunate, but a lot of sales reps in logistics are very protective of all their stuff because, God forbid, somebody take my customer with it.
Secrets.
Yeah, 12% of the global GDP, but there's not enough in it for everyone. That's just crazy thought. But
not
whatever.
at all.
Whatever, hundreds of trillions of dollars, and I can't make 200 grand. Not the case. But so as a salesperson, you would get along differently. Like, I'll share a quick story. So when DJ and I first met Catherine, I said to DJ, "This is the mission," and he's like, "Dude, I'm all over it. It's my mission too." And within days, we developed a relationship that would take. And I'm going to say normal people because I think DJ and I are a little out there. So, which would take quote unquote normal people.
I'm glad you said it. I would have said it too.
You would have. That's what I'm saying. That's what it is. But it would have taken normal people months to get where we were in days. It really would have. And the conversations and the commonalities, and as even now we're months into this, and it's as if we've been buddies for years. We're still like, oh my God, you're left-handed too. Okay, now we got another thing in common because everybody's born right-handed, only the gifted overcome it. So we have that in common now. Right?
I like that.
You like how I'm throwing these all in, eh, DJ?
I like that.
You see, so that commonality between a salesperson and a CEO, when we talk about the fear, right? Oh my God, another salesperson. Oh my God, another salesperson. Is it possible that we are looking at it through our lens? Because as a salesperson, when I get a phone call for a duct cleaning service, who's a salesperson, usually not very good because they're reading a script instead of actually, talking about benefits. But when I get a call, it's like click, and I get pissed off when I get one call a week, right? Yeah. And I think, is it possible, or do you see a lot of the times that as salespeople, we bring our own lens into a situation, which I guess is human nature, where we say, well, they don't want to hear from us because we're a salesperson.
Of course. And when we were talking about common ground, before I lose this thread, that made me think, how many times do people try to get past the executive assistant to the CEO? Do you think the majority do? Do you think the majority don't want to talk to them? They just want them to book an appointment for them? Where in reality, the executive assistant is your most valuable ally.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Catherine, dive into this, because your first question, when you asked that, I would have said, if you talk about the benefits, I think it's the executive assistant's mandate to make sure you get an opportunity to speak. But so many people go into sorry, I shouldn't say. My perspective would be, so many people go into the executive assistant with that "what's in it for me" attitude, as opposed to what's in it for them. It's like calling a traffic manager and asking the questions that give them the lens that you're focused on commission instead of helping them achieve a goal.
Yeah, you should talk to an executive assistant the exact same way you would be talking as though they are the CEO.
CEO, yeah.
Because they are on the lookout for experts 24 hours a day. Because the CEO is on the lookout for experts 24 hours a day. So that executive assistant isn't just a gatekeeper. They are the CEO, in effect, because they're going to bring it forward to them. They're going to say, I found somebody who can help them get products to market faster while decreasing costs. So they're going to let you in, bang.
So just to clarify, Catherine, sorry to interrupt you, but so we're talking pretty much the exact same pitch to executive assistant, CEO, or the same conversation, not necessarily the same pitch, right?
Exactly.
Well, it's because we have to remember. I mean, the saying "shit rolls downhill." I mean, so the executive assistant is hearing the same things and the same pains that the CEO is hearing. So they're going to want to help that CEO or whoever, because they don't want to, less stress from the CEO, the less stress they have. Let's
and they're mandated, DJ. They're mandated to think that way by the CEO. And the other good thing about starting with the CEO is that if they don't have time, but they're interested, they're going to say, you know what, you should speak to my COO.
Yeah.
So I'm going to introduce you to Miss COO and suggest they have a meeting with you. Yeah. Or when you're contacting them, you can tie them both in. So if you don't get a meeting with the CEO, you can say, hi, Mr. CEO, would you and your COO have any time next Wednesday to sit down and discuss ways that you can use our products to get your products to market faster and decrease your costs?
So Jeff's saying something here, Catherine. He sat in the logistics manager position for 35 years and has tremendous amount of empathy for them, because I hated getting those calls from salespeople who didn't know what they were talking about. So I think that goes right in line with, hey, Jeff, by the way, hey, Jose, I hope you all are well. I think that goes right in line with, because you see, as a salesperson, and I can put myself back in the position years ago, where I said, the gatekeepers, they're there to stop us in our tracks. And the lens that I had at that time was, the executive assistant is there to make sure the CEO's timetable doesn't get screwed up. He's never going to want to talk to me, a sales rep in logistics, right? Specifically, and because this is logistics focused, what I realized was logistics is a huge chunk of profitability in companies.
Big portion on the bottom line.
Oh, brother,
CEO,
like if you go from 7 to 3% cost or 7 to 5, that makes an enormous difference in a company's profitability. And if we go back to what Catherine was saying, shareholders, company profitability, lower costs, higher, like all of these
higher
things.
Dividends.
As a salesperson in logistics, I can't help your company sell more. But you know what I can do is I can lower your operational cost in some which way, shape, or form. Now, that might not be the actual cost of transportation, but that might be demerge, that might be overhead, that might be processes. There's a million different ways as professional logistics sales reps.
Yes.
Ones that truly want to help a customer achieve a goal can do to their entire supply chain to lower costs, but still get paid what we're worth. And I think in the end, because again, very big, and the three of us were talking about this before we went live, like we look at Black Friday where we're at today, and it's everybody drop costs. So you're 50% off, 50% off, 50%. And listen, there's a sales portion to that works from a retail perspective, You know, the way I look at it is, if you're worth $200 a load and somebody wants to pay you $50 a load profit, you're cutting your worth by 3/4.
That's
How
a
does
blended
that,
point.
right?
That's a
But
good
how
point.
does that help you impact the end result? Because you're actually cutting yourself off at the head, you know, just to get an order. Make sense?
So when you're speaking to a CEO and you're telling them that you can help them decrease their costs without it impacting the quality of your product or service.
Mm-hmm.
So you've
That
got
would be
to,
the
and
hidden bank.
That's
again, you got to
yes,
balance it. Okay.
yes,
And you're always, no matter what you're selling, no matter what you have, your service, product, or solution is always going to maximize that company's image. We're going to maximize your image in a global marketplace.
yeah,
We're going to help position you as the leader and only resource in your field. They're going to love to see you. They want to hear more. But if you go in there with, all this information and you're sending them attachments and you're sending them all this crud, oh, Maron, they're not going to read it. You are going to lose them immediately. Because I think I said before, it's like being at a party and some stranger comes up and says, hey, I got a little girl. Look at her dance routine. I'm going to show you. I got a video of my kid dancing. You don't even know this person. You're going, oh, that's nice, and you think, oh my God, I got to get away from this guy. Right? Because you don't know who they are. They're
Yeah.
strangers.
So that brings us to another point that I think is extremely important when it comes to technobabble. As sales reps. So I guess feather this down a bit. Sorry, I'll start over. There was a survey done and a kind of like an experiment done about the last 20 years of the US presidential candidates and who won and why. And the people who won always posed a new opportunity and also spoke at no higher than a 5th grade level. And every single president who won in the last 20 years has done this. Which brings us to I think a very valuable point for everybody listening and watching is, when we are speaking to these people, how simplistic do we keep it? And listen, I know most people, when you told me that most CEOs have not even graduated high school, it changed my complete perspective, because I always thought these were MBAs, Harvard grad. Like I just assumed, right? And I guess assuming makes an ass out of you and me, but it's like I assumed this is who they were. So before taking your course, you did the same. Okay, so I'm not alone. Where I just assumed they were on this plane where I would feel like a goof even talking to them. How simple do we have to keep it, Catherine, when we are speaking? When we're like, let's say we send an email, we get past the gatekeeper, we get a meeting with the CEO. How simple do we have to keep it? What are the core, like if you were to give us, call it 3 to 4 core strategies in a meeting, what would they be?
Okay, it would be give the CEO power and control. Let them lead you. Period. Listen to them. You introduce it. You say, okay, I can help you decrease your costs and increase productivity without it impacting the quality of your company. I'm CEO. How do you do that? There is my opening. Then you talk about your business. And then they're going to ask you more questions.
And now, when you talk about your business, do you focus? Yeah. And sorry, I just want to make sure we're really laying it out as clear as day.
Don't use industry slang or jargon that they might not understand.
Keep it simple.
And when we talk about our business, do we relate it to their goals or what we think they want to hear? Or do we we've got 37 trucks and, they're X, Y, Z, and we've got a couple of drop decks and all that? Because I don't think a CEO wants to hear that. Hey, we've got capacity in this market. We've got streamlined ways for you to make this triangle, which is your triangle loop. Am I right? Like that kind of thing? Is that what you're talking?
Exactly. You have to keep focused on their beneficial, on their top desires and concerns. Okay. The fact that you've got 37 trucks, that's going to come out later. All right. Okay. It's what can your 37 trucks do?
Mm-hmm. So it's like Nigel saying, C-suite are experts in what they know. They're looking for you to add expertise in what you know.
Exactly. And they will ask
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure, excuse me, the biggest fear a salesperson has is asking a question. Ask them the question. If you don't know, say to the CEO, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. I'm sorry, but maybe you can lead me through, walk me through what your strategic plan is. Can you walk me through what your strategic plan is? And then I can tell you how you can benefit from our solution.
Oh, okay. So you would, okay, that this brings up another point, because now you're asking the CEO to deliver to you what the strategic plan is, so you can kind of plug the holes in that timeline
Right.
to help them achieve it faster, more effectively, cheaper, that kind of thing.
Because they
Correct?
love talking about themselves.
Got it. Okay. And the seek to understand, then be understood. Jeff says, great quote from Stephen Covey. 100%. I love that. Yeah.
And
Okay. So,
oh, sorry. If you
no,
notice,
go.
I'm so sorry. If you notice the CEO has just been newly appointed to a company, you can send them an email and say, congratulations on your appointment. Then in the body of the email, I would love to hear all about your strategic plan for over the next 12 months. Do you have time for lunch on blah, blah, blah? If that isn't a good day and time, what's a good time and day to sit down with you? And this email has worked.
So Catherine, can you
Yes.
also do this all at the V level as well?
Absolutely.
Like if you're looking at speaking to the vice president of operations and go to them, like, and when you're saying, what's your strategic plan? For me, my brain immediately goes back to, now is the time to have that conversation, because what's your strategic plan for 2022? The market in logistics and supply chain has just been like a roller coaster ride for the past 48 months.
Yeah.
What's your strategic plan for 2022? And like, to me, that's a conversation like now. Like now.
If I can offer any advice, this is what I highly recommend everyone do.
Sorry, Catherine, hold on just a sec. DJ, did you just change your audio or something?
No. Am I good?
Oh. Yeah, no, we just had a reverb or something come back. Okay, no problem. Go.
Okay.
Sorry.
Start with, if you want a meeting with the VP, still start with the CEO. Would Mr. CEO and Miss VP have time? And I'll tell you why. Because if the VP says, no, I'm not interested, I've already got my team set up, then it's hard to go over their heads. Because it's just like, if you have a child and they go to mom and they say, can I stay out till 10? And mom says no. Then they go to dad, can I stay out till 10? Mom's going to be ticked off.
Kids never do that.
No.
Right? Same in the business world. If I've said no to you and then I find out you've gone to my boss, not only are you you are dead to me. Period.
So what would you say to salespeople? Because I hear that. What would you say to salespeople that maybe have a fear of, if I go over their head to start, and then they say to me, well, why would you have gone to the CEO? What would you suggest they then reply? Because if you go so you go CEO and it comes down to the VP of logistics and it comes down to quote unquote the traffic manager, right? In our world, it's typically, okay, start with the traffic manager or have a conversation with the VP of sales. But is it possible, or what have you seen, and how do you suggest we as salespeople navigate it? Those two people go, what the hell are you doing? Why wouldn't you just call me instead of going to the CEO?
Because the managers aren't answerable to the shareholders. The managers, the buck doesn't stop with them.
Good one.
They still have to go into their project meetings and they have to meet with their bosses.
Yep.
Okay, but telephone, you play that game telephone, and facts change. That's what's going to happen. You're going to meet with a manager or someone that doesn't have the ultimate yes capability, or someone who doesn't have the power to sign a check. And it's going, your value solution is going to lose value up the food chain. So if you're nervous about that, what I would suggest doing is, when you contact the CEO, would you and your team have time for a meeting on Wednesday, or is the end of the month better for you? Never say, always give them an alternate, give them a chance to come back with another date. Or is next month better for you? Because the CEO is usually a month out.
Well, and they'll usually, what I learned from that is what they'll usually do is if they go that other option, which they tend to do, they're not going to keep stringing you along. So if they tell you next month, then more likely next month you're getting that appointment. So get ready. But
well,
yeah,
100%, because they're not going to want to waste their time.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
So if a CEO, and this is one thing, actually, this goes back to our conversation that we were having just before we went live. The way your sales sequence works is you can actually move through your sales sequence 2-3 times quicker by starting with the CEO, because if they're interested,
absolutely.
And I'll share with y'all a couple of things that I've seen from implementing a lot of these strategies we're talking about. So I would send emails to the CEO. The CEO would then CC the main person that makes the decision, whereas I originally thought it was somebody else that made the decision. So that was one thing where I didn't waste any time speaking with somebody that wasn't an official decision maker that can actually like say, hey, here we go. Because DJ, I know, and Catherine, we've all been in sales long enough. All y'all watching and listening have been in sales long enough. There's been times where you haven't spoke to the right person, where they claim to be the right person. I've gotten all the way through to literally standing right in front of the finish line and saying, are we ready to go? Let me talk to my boss. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And they're like, well, I got to run this by my boss. I'm sold. And I'm like, okay, well, let's get your boss on the phone, because no offense, I know this better than
now
you do.
You have to resell everything, or you have to hope for them to sell it as good as you, and they're never going to.
They're never sell it.
And your sales cycle has just gone right back to square one.
Yeah. So
start over.
When the CEO CCs the other individual, now it's like, and if we have any traffic managers or any logistics managers, anyone watching, no offense, but it's like you move faster. You really do. And
you do.
If there's a fit to, and again, I guess we should have probably.
Well, here, and listen, and to their credit though, and to their defense, they're busy doing all of the busy work. The CEO is up there kind of just watching everything down here and and they have the time. And so that's what these meetings, they're used to these quick meetings. They're used to these strategic meetings. Somebody in a traffic manager position, they're not used to those. They're used to, we just got to figure this shit out now. And they're just trying to, okay, well, this guy did this. Oh no. Oh God, there's this waiting at the door. Oh, this guy called off, and they're dealing with a million things. So
It's DJ, it's like our conversation on Wednesday. Right. On Wednesday, we had a conversation where, and for all of y'all that watched or listened, you'll remember this, where we said, like, typically a lot of the times the traffic managers only see today and tomorrow. They don't, they can't project so far out. No. And listen, they might forecast their overall business, but they're not forecast because there's so many fires that come up. They just can't sit there and say, what is the strategic outlook for 3 months from now? They're always like, how am I going to solve the right now, the today, the big issue on my plate today, to help everyone else? Whereas CEOs are I guess they have the 30,000 foot view, I guess, for lack of a better term, to put it in an analogy.
They're
Yep.
They're visionaries. What are salespeople? They're visionaries. Salespeople are visionaries. Salespeople always know, okay, I got to make X number of calls. I got to have X number of meetings. I got to close X number of sales to make X number of dollars. They're always one step ahead.
Some are always one step ahead. The professionals. And again, listen, and I only say that
I think that's the difference between.
I was not like that for the first 10 years of my career. I just came in every day and said, okay, I know I got to sell today. There was no vision. It was just, I got to sell today. So when we become professional salespeople, that's when we say, okay, in order to make X, I got to do X because here's my X and here's my X. Nigel has something really interesting here, and I'd love to get into that. Ask how and understand how the C-suite help their customers create revenue. That's their focus. If you can help with this, you are on a winner, and this will open up all kinds of possibilities. It's a lot to dissect for sure. C-suite are always trying to, and I guess so. Catherine, so C-suite, who's C-suite's customers? Is it shareholders?
C-suite customers. It's everybody. Because everyone's a potential customer.
Okay, so let's
what I mean?
dissect that a bit. But so you're meaning like anyone from the public, or like, because for me, I look at it, and maybe I'm wrong.
So if I'm a publicly traded company, then of course the shareholders are going to be my top concern, keeping them happy. Okay, but how do I keep shareholders happy? It all trickles down to the customer. The customer. It's always the customer. Customer should be you. I'd like to find a company that can operate without a customer.
Right? There's none.
Right.
Who the heck is? Who are they? You have to have customers. So your always, and again, that is a CEO's top concern. How do I keep developing new business? And not only that, how do I keep the business I've developed? How do I attract new customers and hang on to them? What value can I keep adding? How I don't want them going to my competition. How can I win them back?
Yeah.
How can I get the customers that I've lost to come back to me? So whether you're a publicly traded company or not is irrelevant. Every C-level executive is concerned about that. It's customers. Customer is always right, no matter how big a jerk that customer must be. Because sometimes we've met them, right? Where you just think, oh my gosh, they are just such a pain in my hiney. But without them.
Yeah, without them, there's nothing. Yeah. And without salespeople, you can't get the product out there.
Exactly. So like it or not, it's the customers.
Yeah, so it's a full ecosystem that we got to pay attention to. But
and it's you can think of a company as an army. I mean, the general isn't there in the front lines. You have your front line people who they're just taking orders and they got one task. They're clearing it out. The generals are back there seeing what else is going on and saying, okay, we need some help over here. We need this. And that's that whole 30-foot view of what a CEO is. And they're just trying to figure out where they need help. Where are the holes? What's going on?
I'm gonna bring that back to Canadian. Canadian, the CEO is the goalie. The goalie sees the whole ice. He sees what's happening on the ice, whereas forwards are focused on going in too deep into the corner. Defense are focused on protecting the line. Right? Oh my God, I can't believe I just made that analogy up. That was pretty good. That's so Canadian. Like, so Canadian. Yeah. Nigel says exactly, Catherine. If you can help with this, you will win. Absolutely. If you can help with all of that, you will win. And I know we're running out of time here, and I wish we can go on for another hour because that would be so cool. Just awesome. But
really quick. Can I?
Yeah. Well, I was going to actually ask you to finish closing it out for sure.
All the salespeople out there that have never contacted a CEO, there is a movie out there with Will Smith. I forget the name of it, but he lives on the street with his son. He's homeless.
Pursuit of Happiness. Pursuit of Happiness. One of my favorite movies. That's based on a true story, by the way. But
get the Pursuit of Happiness, because he went to, I think, Merrill Lynch, was it? And the key to his success, he contacted the CEOs.
He started at the top. He started right at the top. Yep.
That's right. Get that movie. Don't be afraid. These guys are looking for you. They are looking for you. They go to sleep thinking about you. They want you to come and see them. Okay? You just got to take the focus off you and put it on them. And you'll be golden. You'll be golden.
Yeah.
They'll invite you in.
Yes.
Jeff says it right. He says, who pays you? Not the company. Their customers are the ones who in the end do sign the check.
Amen.
You're right, because amen to that. You're absolutely right, because you know what? How many companies have you seen go out of business because they don't focus on the customer?
Exactly. Like I said, what kind of business are you going to have without a customer?
Well, Catherine, I think if you even go a step further, right? So you look at logistics, right? Yeah. Just logistics as a functionality of a customer. Like, we're selling a service. It's not a product. So if I want a mug to hold my coffee, I got to go buy a mug, right? There's a product, and I'm going to have this mug. The company that sold me this mug does not have to serve me in any way because I've got the mug now, right? Yeah. But as a service and a service-focused business, we lose customers when we stop giving that recognition and paying attention to them. Yeah. Right? That's really when we lose. And if we go into a sale saying, okay, what's my commission on this, as opposed to how can I serve at the highest levels possible? How are you strategically operating in 2022? What's your strategic plan? How can I plug some of the holes that we see water is going to pour out of? That's long-term client attainment. Like, there's a big difference. And I've been on every end of this spectrum. So is DJ. So is probably every single salesperson watching, listening. You go up and you get all these sales, and all of a sudden you stop paying attention to a customer because you get so busy with another customer and you lose the customer. Then you're back down. Then you're back up. Then you're back down. Like, it's a consistent pattern. But if you look at that pattern, the customers who stay with you are the ones that you take care of time in and time out and help them achieve their goals.
Yep.
It's fairly it's simple. Sales is not easy, but it is simple when we focus on specific things and long-term goals. And I'll throw something out there, Catherine, and tell me if in your experience this is correct. You start with the CEO, you do business with the company, you're doing very well. Do you check back in with the CEO and say, hey, I just wanted to thank you for helping me get my foot in the door. Over the last X time, we've been able to do X, Y, and Z. So, and what I mean by this is, say that you present like this timeline, right? So what's your strategic plan for 2022? Well, in the first 3 months, this is what I expect to do. In the next 3 months, Q2, this is what I expect to do. Do you check back in with the CEO at Q1 and say, hey, even if, here's the caveat, even if you haven't quite hit the goal?
Yep.
Heck yeah.
That's what I thought.
What is the lifespan of a CEO at any company? Anybody know? I don't mean lifespan like they keel over from a heart attack.
No, just how long they last. I would guess 5 years. Is that right?
Hang on. Exactly right.
Well, look at you. DJ wins a prize.
Well, so I'll tell you, I only know because so I have a gentleman who's in a networking group with me at a large business. And that's where the caveat to all of this is, guys. Look, the large customers, the large brokerages, the large whatever business you're in that you're selling against, they don't care about customer service. Let's be honest. They're so big, they just treat customers like a number. That's our opportunity to get in there and find the customers that really value that. Just like in shipping, we don't want the customers who are buying freight off of a list because of the lowest price. We want who value what we're bringing to them, just like in anything that we're selling. So again, don't worry about everybody who's shopping cheap. Let that be to the big guys who just want to shop and go with everybody who shops cheap. But you're so right. And
I think DJ, because you answered that correctly, Catherine, what do you think? DJ's prize is going to be in-laws till Christmas. What do you say? So, yay. So I got two things here. So we're going to go Nigel, then we're going to go Jeff, and then we got to take off because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. For those who haven't sold to C-suite, just pick up the phone, but you have to know your stuff. Exactly. You got to know exactly what they want. You got to know exactly what they're looking for. And Jeff CLevel, CLevel plan. Try to get a seat at their board table to understand where they are, where you need to go, and how they're going to get there. Very, very awesome, like fantastic comments. Before DJ, now DJ, do you have another quote to close us out, or do we get Catherine to close it?
Okay.
It's a good one. Go ahead. Okay. I'll hit you with so it's Kate Forsyth, and its stories are the common ground that allow people to connect despite all of our differences and all our defenses.
Nice.
Well said. Very good. Yep, I agree.
Catherine, is there any closing comments or remarks that you want to make before we jump off?
Yeah.
Let me see. There's so many things. I think if I have to leave you with one thought is, you only got one life. Okay? I said it before. Albert Einstein said, the only time you fail is when you stop trying. CLevel, I'm telling you because I lived this life. I have lived it for all my life. CLevel people are waiting for you. They want you to call them. They honestly do. Okay? Don't be afraid. Okay? It's going to be nerve-wracking. Just like I said to Dan, this is nerve-wracking for me. I'm used to walking around. I'm not used to sitting still and talking to somebody. I'm used to pacing back and forth on a stage.
And if I can say, you've already gotten used to it, I see.
Oh,
yes, you've done really well. I hope you come back.
Thanks. But Dan's been so great at teaching me, and so this is what I say to everybody out there: do not be afraid. All right. Les Brown said, "When you help other people achieve their dreams, you will achieve yours." So I'll leave you with that. Don't be afraid. Please do it. They're waiting for you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here,
Thank you
Catherine.
guys,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody. Thanks, Nigel. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks,
Catherine.
Jose. Thanks, everybody, for contributing and jumping in. Everybody have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you Monday for another episode of Sales Cast.